Listen, Ted, I just want to say, the way I left.
Nathan, there you are.
Now, in episode 4, we see a bit of the old Nate. He actually feels bad about how he left things with Ted, and he wants to apologize. He keeps getting interrupted.
Coach Shelley, Mr. Mannion asked me to give you this.
How helpful was that in guiding your performance and sort of for the soul a bit, knowing that Nate hasn't entirely gone toward the dark side?
Well, I knew from early on that that was kind of coming, and so I always tried to have at the back of my head, does Nate actually really regret what he did, and is it eating away inside him the way he left things with Ted? And I think we anticipate that as an audience to a degree, that we know there's unfinished business there. So I guess if there is a redemptive quality to, you know, listen, whether he fully redeems himself or not, I think is yet to be seen, and it's as much up to the audience to decide whether they forgive him. I think that for some people, Nate could beg for forgiveness and do a whole manner of things, but it could never make up for the betrayal at the end of season 2, right? So I think that's not really in my control, or even the writers to a degree. I think it's up for people to make up their own minds. But I was glad to see the start of that thought process, at least in episode 4, and even just to interact with Ted, you know, even just momentarily in the lift, you know, that was really important for me as an actor as well as for the characters, I think.
You've done nothing wrong, Nathan, I promise you. You earned this job.
Now, we know as the audience that all Nate really wants, and this all really just stems from the fact that he wants his father's approval, or, you know, a father figure's approval. And by the end of episode 4, he appears to have Rupert's.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mannion.
Please, no. Rupert.
What does that mean to Nate, and what sort of impact might that have on his psyche?
Well, that's the thing. It's dangerous with someone like Rupert, because you're right. I mean, as much as Nate has tried to seek out Ted so he can apologize, and that hasn't happened, and there is a frustration there and obviously an emotional sort of disconnect there because he's not fully been able to explain himself. Rupert being so kind of kind to him, I guess, at the end of that episode is, from Nate's point of view, he thinks like, oh, well, maybe things are going to be fine, and maybe I did make the right decision, and yes, I might have said the wrong thing, but, you know, let bygones be bygones, and, you know, Rupert is my new inspiring leader figure. But as we all know as the audience, Rupert is far from that. He's a toxic force and is ultimately, you know, manipulating this situation to his own end. And so Nate is merely a pawn in that. And, you know, I think we can anticipate that Nate is going to get burnt at some point by Rupert, because Rupert never comes true for anyone, right?